Hi folks, Robert Trawick here with FotoFacts Podcast. Welcome to Trawick Images World Headquarters in my home office in Yukon, Oklahoma. So we're coming to you live, or at least semi-live. You'll watch this on YouTube later. And this is part of our weekly updates with the FotoFacts Podcast that Jim and I are doing. So you can get a little video insight on who we are as hosts and what we're trying to accomplish with the podcast. The podcast has always been a labor of love so that we can have other people enjoy photography the same way that we do. It really started back in the early 2000s when I moved here to Oklahoma. That would be Noelle, my dog in the background. She's our rescue. We have 3 dogs. I have 3 4-legged children and 4 2-legged children. Figure that math out. And I'm also the only male in the house, so I kind of swim in estrogen ocean, if you know what I'm saying. If you're a guy and you have all girls in your house, you know exactly what I'm saying. So back to the reason the FotoFacts Podcast exists today. When I moved to Oklahoma and transitioning from a military photographer to a civilian photographer, I was very disappointed in all the bad information that was out there on the internet and in person, and that most photographers did not share any information at all. It was like this protected secret treasure box on how we made a successful business or how we did our personal skill set of photography that made us unique and different. I'm probably a much different duck than the average photographer, and I like to share everything. I believe that high tide floats all boats. That quote brought to you by our friend of the podcast, James Pratt, and I use it all the time ever since he mentioned that to me. I just love that saying because I feel it's very true. In the early 2000s, I had a website called Dare to Share, and that website was a direct action from a very personal experience that shocked me on how the world of civilians photography worked, basically. So I was at WPPI. There were several top-end wedding photographers in Oklahoma that I admired, and one of those individuals ran into me at WPPI, called me by name. I was really surprised. I was shocked that, this upstart in Oklahoma, because I'm not from Oklahoma, so I had just moved here in 2002. And I was very shocked and happy for myself that this photographer knew my name and wanted to have lunch with me in between some of the sessions at WPPI in Las Vegas. So I was really kind of awestruck by this photographer. And so we sat down to lunch. I was really excited to be able to get some insights from this person and maybe, find a faster track to successful wedding photography in Oklahoma. And I was met very abruptly with a wall of non-shareability. In fact, the individual in question, which I'm not going to mention, I'm not going to call him out. He's still a photographer in Oklahoma. He's very well known. Basically chastised me for sharing information and secrets on some of the videos. I also ran a forum called the Oklahoma Photographers Forum back in the day before Facebook was big. And so this was just an online forum that I had. We had about 500 to 600 photographers. I think that's where I met James Pratt to begin with. He was a very vocal photographer in the area. But this photographer in question that I was having lunch with, that I highly respected his skill set and the circles he ran in, just basically beat me down and told me to quit sharing information, to quit training our replacements, and to quit training our competition. That he liked the work I was creating, but I needed to quit sharing. So I left the lunch very disheartened, spent the most of the event at WPPI discouraged, upset, angry, at our industry, and I wanted to make a change, no matter how small it was. When I came back to Oklahoma from the show, I created a forum, a website called Dare to Share, specifically because of that. And I shared PDFs that I found, I shared work, I shared what people would call secrets to post-processing. I shared everything I could and got other photographers to do the same. I met Jim. Jim Felder is a fabulous technical guy. And I really don't know exactly how the FotoFacts podcast actually got started, but Jim had done a podcast called Life with Jim earlier, and we really connected in a way of sharing information with others and helping other people enjoy photography the way we did. So the idea was born to have a podcast. Being that I'm from Spain, and I really, my English is actually very poor. I've always made jokes that the English language is probably one of the hardest to learn because it makes no freaking sense. Phonetically, it isn't even spelled the way it sounds phonetically. So we chose to go FotoFacts with F's. I do love F's. As most people that know me understand, I do love a good F word. And so the FotoFacts podcast was born. And to make it easy on us, we decided we're not going to edit. I think that maybe the first couple of episodes we did while we tried to figure out the platform that we were going to use to broadcast. So we don't edit our podcast. We just let it run. Sometimes it can get boring. I know that some people have mentioned that they would like to have less chit-chat and more content. But I feel that it's like having coffee with a friend. When you sit down to the podcast and you turn it on, we want you to have that camaraderie and familiarity with us as though we're your best friends having coffee, just discussing some cool topic about photography. Sometimes you might take away a really good nugget and something that could push you to the next level. It could take you out of the plateau that you're at and move you forward. And sometimes it's just the comfort of knowing that you're not alone, that we share every day in what you're going through and those struggles, those difficulties, the editing late at night, the scheduling issues with clients of why can't I shoot your senior at 2:00 in the afternoon on a weekday? Yeah, they're in school, but they take time off from school to do everything else. Why not photography? So we want you to know that we are with you. We'll continue the FotoFacts podcast. We've been going now for 5 years. We have over 350 episodes. We have interviewed some of the world-leading photographers, and little by little, year by year, not because of us, maybe just a little bit because of us, more and more people are sharing their secrets with the world because everybody is unique. Everybody is different. And it's best to be the best version of yourself than a copy of anyone else. So there's the podcast in a nutshell. We just want to give you guys great content, make you laugh, and let you know that you have a friend in the industry. So be sure to let all your friends know that FotoFacts Podcast is open for business. We have been for 5 years. We love our listeners. Join our Facebook group, our Facebook page, and be sure to check out our website at photofactspodcast.com. This is Robert Trawick, and we'll hopefully see you next week. Love to have any questions or comments down below. And hit subscribe while you're at it. And if you really love us, go to iTunes and give us a rating. We would like to have 5 stars, by the way. 5. 5 is the magic number. 1 is no good. 5 is wonderful. So hope you guys have a beautiful week. Fabulous week, because I love F's, remember. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot.